Amid the rustic, bustling scene of downtown Kingston, where industry and commerce intersects with murals and creativity, we come to talk about technology and business and the way the two together help build better businesses. We're at the F&B Downtown Restaurant in the heart of Kingston's Art District, the place for food, beverage, world-class jewelry with some technology mixed in today.
Hello and welcome to Bounce by Info Exchange. We're right here at F&B Downtown. This is the heart of the Downtown Art District. But at F&B, this is the place for good food, good wines, world-class jewelry, and today, technology. I've got CEO David Allen. That's him right here.
That's me.
And CIO Ondell Williams. That's him right there in that blue shirt. What color is that shirt?
Nice.
Blue.
Blue. As I said, men are colorblind. Nice blue.
There you go. So today we're
blue too.
This is blue too, yeah. It's the same blue. I'm sure the women would not agree. But, they have different names for them. But today we're going to talk about something that will probably keep us out of a little disaster: business continuity, or IT resilience, and disaster recovery.
Yes. What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, it seems fairly obvious, but just in practical terms and with an example, give me a sense of what that means: IT resilience, disaster recovery, why they're different, especially in a world where being down is not acceptable anymore.
Right. So you sometimes talk about, or you hear business continuity.
Yes.
And you hear disaster recovery.
Right.
And therefore you get business continuity and disaster recovery.
Okay, but they're not the same things.
We separate those two terms. One, business continuity actually deals with being able to continue operations even when faced with a negative event or a disaster.
Okay, precisely.
Right? And that has to do with what we call ongoing operations, continuous operations.
Right.
Versus disaster recovery is I had a disaster, now I need to recover
from it.
So therefore, in terms of the difference, it's really about the time to recover. One means that I'm down and now I'm recovering.
Right.
The other one means that something happened. There's a little blip, but I continue to
get back.
I continue to operate.
Yeah. So as Anna says, it's one is you're talking about, as the operative word in there is recover. Right? So something has happened and I'm going to recover. So during that time when I'm recovering, there are some things that's going on. And usually that's about business loss, data loss.
But before we even get into sort of diving into the details of how that works, we can't say it enough about why these things are very important considerations for business these days.
Well, and that's a very good point, Colando. What happens is that businesses these days, due to the transformation of how business operates, and that's being driven by the changes in customer demand, right, or customer behavior,
competition.
Right? It means that the time that I have to recover is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. You want to crush that down to near zero. You want to continue as opposed to recover.
Okay, so what you're saying is the behavior of people these days is not just, so it's not enough to just say, I have my business continuity plan and I have my disaster recovery plan. It's that I have to consider that the demands on my business is, the recovery has to be like, no.
Precisely. No. Precisely. And, you, as a business, you need to identify what aspects of the business, what components of the business operation needs to be continue as close to it in the event of a disruption.
Okay.
And which other ones you can wait a little bit.
And sometimes you speak about business impact.
Right.
What component within a disaster actually has the most impact to my business?
This is something that you'd have to kind of think about before.
Definitely
it requires planning.
If it requires planning, and not only that, but you also have to think about, with that component, how much data can I afford to lose?
Okay, so now you're
How
going
much?
into
Yes.
the RPO. That is that now.
Restore
Right?
time.
Recovery point objective.
And part of my recovery point objective is answering the question which you just asked.
Yes.
How much data can I afford
To lose.
Right, RPO.
Without going out of business.
Oh,
Because
very
let us
critical.
always bring it back to without going out of
Right.
business.
Business operation.
Okay, so right, so, but RPO has another part. There's the RT,
Recovery time objective.
which is now how long? It will take.
How long will it take me to
See,
recover?
I'm gonna take your chance.
Normal
I'm
business
gonna take your
operations.
chance.
Right, exactly. Come on, come.
So when you think of those two things, you're talking about, how much data can I afford to lose, and how long will it take to recover? And you talk about something just like a system being down, loss of data, server crashed. When your server crashes, that means that all users and customers and other stakeholders who use those systems are not able to use those systems. And therefore, what is the repercussions to your business in terms of such an action or such an event happening?
Right.
And that would come out of your business impact analysis. Those decisions.
Those factors will come out, and you now need to make a decision around what do I need to have in place so that I have near zero data loss.
Right. Precisely. And any business, depending on how large and how complex the business is, will have many systems that they run.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them really are more support, and some are critical, business critical. So the BIA is speaking about will identify what are the parameters around this particular system. Now, and I know that many businesses are not thinking about this very clearly. They know about it sort of at a distance. And I know this because I've asked questions to the C-suite, and I say, well, how long do you require to recover?
But how does the person know that, though?
Well, you need to think about it.
Yeah.
What is going to be the impact to me? And you can say, well, this particular system, 100 of my staff use it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right. So that's taken.
I pay those guys $10 an hour.
Okay.
System goes down, 6 a.m. just before they come into work, and it's down for the entire day. So just multiply how many hours by how much staff, by how much per hour. There you go. Now you and that's a very simple,
And that's what we call
very simple
productivity
approach.
loss.
Right, that's right.
Meaning you're paying for that time, but it's not
But you're
actually
not earning
being
anything from it.
not
Right,
earning anything
right.
from it.
So you've effectively given 100 members of your staff a holiday, an extra paid vacation. They're happy.
Because you as a business owner or the executive failed to address a technology issue.
Right. Now, you can say, well, okay, I'm doing backup, Mr. CIO. I'm backing up this data. Well, aren't I okay?
And that's a famous answer that we get.
Yeah, right. So walk me through it.
Yes,
Walk me through
yes.
it.
So you have a situation where you're backing up at a point in time. So for example, they had a backup the day before, but the system goes down at the next day.
Yes.
No, the next day the system goes down at say 3 o'clock during the day.
Oh.
Now you have done work from 8:30 or 9 until 3 o'clock. What point do you recover to?
Right.
What point do you have to recover to? For your business to be up and running, you have to recover up to 3 o'clock because that's when you went down.
Right.
That means all data that was in up to that time has to be recovered. But you have a backup, which was for the previous day, end of day. So therefore now, you're going to have to restore that backup.
The one from the day before.
One from the day before, and then re-enter the transactions right up to 3 o'clock in order for your systems to be operational, because if they are not transactionally correct, then your users are going to have a problem.
So now this is a very, very key point, the difference between restore point and
Yeah.
restore time.
Right.
Restore point, as Onel is saying, that's a point in which you have the last backup, right? That's where your data is good too. So you have there. Then you have to re-enter, right, the data between the last backup and the point of failure.
Right.
And then you have to go and make sure all the systems are working together,
Yes.
and then allow people back onto the system.
So it's almost like you have to get back those hours.
Right, and at
Yes.
that point in time, that is your restored time.
Yes.
Right? So you as a business now, you can define, well, how much data am I prepared to lose? Because the point between your last backup and where you had a failure, you have to be able to have those transactions on a piece of paper, some way to re-enter it, right?
Yeah.
And then, so that's one metric. And then from the point of when I had a failure to the point when I'm restored and I can operate again, all of that is lost time. And again, you can determine how much I am willing to lose.
Yes.
And that is just in productivity. That doesn't talk about the lost business opportunities.
So the solution is a resilient IT infrastructure.
Definitely. So when you think about it today, a backup is really only for regulatory compliance and legal discovery.
Meaning this is how people.
I mean, in today's digital
Right.
age, it really has no bearing on how quickly you can recover, because you're talking about a daily backup that affords you almost a day's worth of loss if something happens. And then the rekeying effort, maybe another couple of days.
Right.
And then to make sure that everything is in sync, another couple of days. So you're basically talking about a few days to a week for you to be operational. If you're a small enough business, if you're a large business, that is weeks. So backups are really, in our opinion, for legal compliance and for legal discovery and regulatory compliance.
And you know, this kind of makes sense when you really think about it, because where many years ago,
Yes.
when businesses were operating less digitally, as we've said before, there's been a change in customer demand and customer behavior, which has driven this transformation of the business to be more digital, which is a sort of 24/7, always on kind of business. So you can see where backup in the past could be used as a recovery or a continuity measure, but more in terms of recovery,
Yes.
right?
Because
Could
you
work,
have- yeah. Because
right?
you have those defined times.
Right.
that the
That's
business
right.
is
Right,
operating.
because the business could afford to be down, right? Or could tolerate downtime. Those times have passed. So really, backup is really more for regulatory
That's right.
compliance.
And then you have the continuum, which is you have backup and recovery. You have what we call today disaster recovery, and what we are speaking about is business continuity, IT resilience.
Right.
So if you look at that continuum, you find that backup and recovery is the least in terms of continuous operations. Disaster recovery is I have a disaster, how quickly can I recover? Which is an improvement
Yes.
over backup
Right.
and
Okay.
recovery.
Right.
Because usually what you're doing in that instance, you're saying every time I write this data here, I'm actually writing it somewhere else. And hopefully that data now, as well as the applications,
Right.
are recoverable within a short amount of time, usually a couple hours. And then now you move to business continuity, IT resilience, where it's a blip and you go on working.
And obviously, this is something that is not just the IT people that need to determine. This is a business decision.
This
It's part of
is
strategy.
a business decision. Business must say, this is what my business demands. You,
That's
Mr.
right.
IT,
That's
you
right.
deliver this.
Right.
Plain and simple. It's not the other way around. Okay?
And a business really needs to look at how do you actually calculate your overall business recovery point.
Yes.
Meaning for every business that's different, because you have businesses that are fully dependent on digital means. Then you have businesses that are hybrid,
Yeah.
and then you have businesses that are manual.
Right.
So therefore, and really and truly in this digital age, those businesses that are manual are going to feel some pain. because their competitor is a click away.
And
So therefore, even food today, you now have where I can order online and it's delivered.
Yes.
And pizza actually led the way.
Pizza.
You and your
pizza.
pizza.
Right? We talk about pizza. It's funny because in this period that we're in, where we're looking at something like COVID-19, which can be considered a form of disaster among the other types. So we talk about power failures. That's one. Hardware failures, software failures, human error, network outages, and everything else. And I mean, in some of our conversations, some of those things can be internal, and then you have external stuff. Yeah, you look at COVID-19 as a massive external issue that is disrupting every business everywhere.
Right.
And people need to figure out how to survive. And most people are looking to, okay, what kind of technologies we have?
Right.
When you talk about schools trying to do this online teaching, and even as you talk about deliveries, these businesses that offer delivery,
Dining in now.
where you
I'm
can
talking
probably
about
order through an
takeout.
app or something as simple as you making a phone call. We're going to test to see how these businesses survive in this kind of disaster.
You see, COVID-19 is a special use case. Yes, it's a disaster, right? No doubt about that. The thing is a little different. The other disasters that we've been talking about, power failures, system crashes, often, revolve around some type of, loss of data, loss of equipment, or so on. Right now, everybody's servers are up and running fine, right? It's the people that can't get to it, which is why it's about process, people, process, and technology. So now, how are we going to, how are business going to adapt to that? And, that's going to be an evolution in the way businesses are architected. Starting from their core systems and operations, and being able to drive or find ways to allow people to remotely access their operations. So there's going to be changes in operation, the way the companies operate. I don't know if
Definitely. And for most businesses, you find that whether it be a planned event or an unplanned event, human related or act of God, we have questions around where does COVID actually fit?
Act of God.
or a human related event.
Conspiracy theorists.
As a business, you need to always think about what is the cost to me, not only in terms of dollars and cents, immediate dollars and cents, but the cost down the road. And I think a lot of business people today think about today.
Yes.
How do I survive today? And we know it's rough, but how do I survive today? But what is even more important is that how am I going to be surviving and providing either the same services or a different set of services in the future? And if you don't have a resilient business, if you don't have a business that can operate if a negative event actually occurs, then you are not thinking wholesome about risk
And the future.
and your future.
I mean, it's kind of safe to say that every business now has to think about, okay, what if I face another disaster like this?
That's right.
What can, because as I said,
How do
everybody's
I adapt?
looking to the tech. Yes, how do I adapt? Everybody's looking to the technology as part of that solution.
Well, clearly, those companies that are already down the digital transformation road are the most adaptable.
Yes. Find it much easier in this time.
It's not easy, any which way you look at it, but at least they're the most adaptable. Because it means that my operating systems can be accessed anywhere.
Yes.
Remember, as you say,
That's right.
work is not where you go, but what you do.
Yes.
So you can do your work anywhere.
And I think you have to remember, this is not an IT decision. This is not an IT decision.
It's a business decision that has some IT in it.
This is core to your business strategy.
Yeah. All right. So we have to really kind of give people a sense of maybe a few bites that they could take away. And I know that we talked a little bit about recovery point objective, recovery time objective, and also.
And examples we gave examples. David gave an example of how to calculate it, meaning that when it comes to your staff, you calculate it by just what you pay them per hour times how many hours you're down times how many staff. I mean, when it comes to revenue loss, you look back at your books as a CFO. You look back at your books and say, okay, during this day, how much business would I have made versus now that I'm down, how much business did I make?
Right.
So if you just look at it from a purely business point of view, you can actually calculate the cost of downtime. And from that cost, you can say, here what? I can't afford to be down
for more
than X.
Right.
So
and not only that, and if something happens, I need to be able to recover in X time.
I'll give you an example. And this is actually something that happened to a company very, very recently. And you can use those who are listening and watching can use this as a thought exercise in their own business. This company on a Friday evening, one of their main servers crashed. They had some RAID system on there, and this went. Okay, they were doing backups, thank God, right? And it happened on a Friday evening. And they're not a highly transactional company, right? So they had a crash. What? Friday evening. Their next work is Monday morning. So they have between that Friday evening and Monday morning to get up and running again. They have their backup. They can go and get it and do a restore. But they had nothing to restore it onto.
That's right.
System gone.
That's right.
So they had to go, the hardware is gone. So they had to go find hardware. Emergency on a Friday evening here in Jamaica. So they found hardware, didn't have enough disk space, etc. So that's a whole bunch of issues. It took between Friday evening and early Sunday morning to get the hardware in and configured and switched on. And the operating system reloaded and so on. All of these things had to happen.
Imagine if it was a Monday or Tuesday.
Right. And then they had to now restore the data, which is up in the cloud. Great, but it takes a time for it to come down. And Monday morning, the data is still being recovered, right? But at least they're partially up and running. And as Omni said, can you imagine if it happened during the work week?
Imagine if that happened to a bank. I mean, when you think of situations where I'm a consumer, I'm a business that is actually a customer of this bank, and you're down for an extensive period of time, and down can mean many things. You're up, but I don't have access to accurate data or data that is up to date. Meaning that as a bank, I need to see my balance as it is, or as it should be. But because of either something that is planned, such as an upgrade,
right,
your systems are now unavailable to me. And a lot of businesses don't think of that as a disaster, but it is a disaster if you do an upgrade.
It's a disastrous experience for the business.
If you have an upgrade and you did not have the appropriate systems in place to either roll back from that upgrade or to mitigate any effects of that upgrade. I mean, if it takes you weeks to get back to normalcy, you have failed in your disaster recovery planning, and worse yet, you have failed in your business continuity planning. And therefore, that business, as far as I'm concerned, was not IT resilient.
And how could even the company you're talking about, because there was a solution, the example you gave earlier, the bank, there was some kind of solution, but they still experienced that outage, if you will.
Yes.
What else could they have put in place so that they could have either minimized, for example, the one where the server burning?
Well, look, you see, that particular one, right? They had a bunch of things, going for them. What they lost were just data files, documents. Okay. So they were able to recover documents. They did not lose applications as well. Because this was a file server. Lucky for them. But if we take that thought exercise a little further and said it was an application,
a transactional system,
right? So a backup just backs up data. So I'd have to recover the data. I'd have to go and reinstall the applications, get all of that working together, and then get the users back onto the system. what you're, and all that is, contributes to the time it requires to get to that recovery time.
The
Okay,
RTO.
right? And in most cases, you would have breached your RTO objective, right, for the business. So what then? Well, what you really do need is to find a way to protect all of it, the data, the application, because hardware will fail, right?
So therefore, your applications have to have mobility,
Right.
meaning that it has to be in such a form that you can take it
From here,
from
move it to
here
there.
and move it to there. And
So
if you,
something that could sort of fail over automatically.
that's right.
We can fix that, so we isolate it,
That's correct.
and then we just keep going.
Right.
That's
So
right.
that's the
And that's
exact
possible.
point. If you can just move the application and the data as a group,
Yes.
right, or protection group to somewhere else, and continue to operate in that somewhere else, while you take your time and sort out what's happening here,
Right. And you're saying
instead of being panicked, the pulse is burning down.
And a lot of businesses, small business, medium-sized businesses say, it will never happen to me.
Because I have a backup.
And not only that, but guess what happened? These things that the bigger companies worry about, I don't need to worry about that as a business owner because I'm small.
Yes.
But in this day and age, we have what you call clickable events,
Yes.
where your user sits at his or her desk, and an email comes in, and they say click, and with that click comes a ransomware, virus, something that will
I don't
actually
think anybody's doing
interrupt.
that easy.
Oh no, we
warned.
have been warned about that. But guess
Those
what
things will
happened?
never happen.
Guess what happened? If I get an email and it says I have won, so much money in the lotto, even though I have not played,
No.
I'm not even though I don't
You
have a
don't
ticket
know
and I
about
have not
scamming
played.
to know that you
No,
don't-
and it says,
Well, under the witness.
A, B, and C actually bought this for me, and all I need to do is send some money. I'm gonna be clicking, man.
Oh, no. See,
Listen.
you have to isolate under
But hello, this happens to the best of us.
It happens to the best of us.
You're and usually happens. You're rushed. You're doing
Yes.
100 things at the
That's
same
right.
time. It's something that you are thinking about because I received a mail that is plausible.
Plausible.
It's coming from a recognized source.
Yes.
Right?
It's not ridiculous.
And right, and this clickable event, the person just clicks on it, and it's one person in your organization of 500
That's
or
right.
1,000, and that infects everybody.
Right. Yes.
What does that?
And that is no different than COVID. No different.
No different than COVID.
No different because one person is infected and then it spreads. Community spread.
Contact.
Community spread. So,
Yeah.
I mean, when we talk about this whole business continuity versus disaster recovery, we're really talking about the time to recover. And we're saying in the digital age, the time is almost zero, if not zero.
Any tips for businesses during this COVID-19 disaster?
Wow. As I say, it's a special case. It's very fluid and evolving almost daily. But the key thing right now, the social distancing that you hear they talk about. How am I going to do that?
While operating my business.
While operating my business.
The IT can help.
IT can help. I mean, you have now where you're forced to, and that is where the planning comes in. But now businesses are forced to think differently, and remote work is something that has to be part of your arsenal in terms of your business continuity planning.
And it's going to be the new normal. It's going
Right.
to, working remotely. This thing is going to with us for.
COVID is going to force the new normal.
It's going to force a new normal.
We think about it. So I'm experiencing my own disaster because now my computer has died. I did not bring the charger, and so now I have to have better plans for my resiliency later
That's
on.
correct.
But I mean, think about life. Years ago before cell phone.
Yeah.
We were talking about this a while. Before cell phone.
Whatever.
If I don't have a phone, right. But my life and life in general and the world has moved where if I have my phone or my laptop and the battery dies on it,
Part of me is gone.
right. It's different to 20 years ago.
Yes.
It is different.
Because now if the battery dies, it's like you don't have the phone. Because there's no warranty for the phone.
That's right.
But this is a very important thing for business, as we know. And the critical part of what I'm taking away from this is it's not an IT decision. This is a business strategy.
That's correct.
Business coverage. That's a business
It's
strategy.
not a discretionary spend. Downtime is no longer acceptable.
Right. And so people have to, and how can they get some help if they need it?
You have to have some trusted advice, and really and truly, usually you gather in a boardroom, and it's the marketing person, it's the CFO, it's the CEO, maybe someone from operations, but the person from IT is missing. How can you actually craft a resilient business without IT today?
Knowledge.
That is
You can't.
impossible.
Right. You
It's
can't.
digital space.
And so it's about that strategy, business strategy, which has IT at its core, leading that conversation.
That's correct.
This is where we're going to leave this conversation today. We thank you for joining us. I can't tell you all the things that I need to tell you because my computer is dead. But if you would know, do you know the email that it can send to ask us?
My business at
infoexchange.com.
There you go. And the website.
www.infoexchangeja.com.
And you can follow on Instagram at infoexchangeja.com or on Twitter at infoexchange. This is where we say goodbye from another Bounce by Info Exchange. I'm Kalando. This is David. That's Mondale. We'll talk soon.
Bounce by Info Exchange, where technology meets industry and commerce to build better businesses. Info Exchange are business technology consultants. Our offices are located in Kingston, Jamaica. Info Exchange, smart technology, better business.